Hello everybody. Today we are going to study The Legend of Northland by Phoebe Carey. This is a poem which has a lot of beautiful message for you. So before starting the poem, let's know about this poet. Phoebe Carey was an American poet. She was born on 4th September 1824 and died on 31st July 1871. She, along with her sister Alice Carey, wrote a number of poems, and both these poems they had made a separate volume of each one. They wrote poems in the form of hymns. Hymns are praises of God, and her poems are related to love, faith, and hope. So truly, if you go deep into their life history, you will come to know that these two sisters, they led a life of poverty. They never even saw a school in their life, but they managed to complete their education. And not only this, living in that darkness, they were able to write poems related to love, faith, and hope is indescribable. We are going little bit of crisis, we are not able to tolerate that. Just try to compare their life with ours and see and learn from them how to live life in a strong manner. So without taking much time, let's start to know what's the theme of the poem. The theme of the poem is we are going to get value of kindness, generosity, and charity. How we should be dedicated to others, how we should be devoted to others and not think twice when we are going to serve others. So, this is the main theme of the poem. We will get the value of kindness, generosity, charity, irrespective of the person who is, otherwise one would have to face the consequences. If we are not helping anyone in need, we have to be answerable to God one day. So, this is a legend. A legend is a traditional story, sometimes popularly regarded as history, but not very authenticated. It is about an old woman who is cursed for being greedy and showing indifference to charity and kindness. The style of this poem is a ballad. A ballad is a song narrated in a story form in stanzas. This traditional ballad is typically of unknown authorship, being passed on orally from one generation to another. So, you will not find this poem to be written by somebody. It is orally transferred from one generation to another. So let's start reading the poem. I am going to explain you from stanza 1 to stanza 8. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. When they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe this true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and looked about it preaching, just as he did, he came to the door of a cottage in travelling round the earth, where a little woman was making cake and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she took it She looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked when she turned it over as large as the first had done. So I'm going to explain you these 8 stanzas. So if you are coming across any difficult word, there is only one word, that is hearth. Hearth means fireplace, a floor of fireplace. All right. Then the next word is kneaded. Kneaded means when you are kneading the dough, when you are molding the dough. Then I don't think any other word is there. Preaching. Preaching means to give lessons, to give sermon. You see, many sadhus and sants, they roam around here and there to give their lessons, to give their preachings. So that preaching is called sermon. So here we are going to talk about one lady who was a little bit greedy. And one day Saint Peter, who was very tired of preaching, of giving his sermons, one day started knocking the door of this lady because he got the aroma of cake being cooked, cake being baked. So he thought that, let me knock the door and get a cake and fill my belly. So I'm going to give you the explanation as well as the summary of the poem. So please go through this. So the poet introduces the place from where the story is derived. It is from Northland. The poet says that the days are short and the nights are long in winter, and it is difficult to sleep for so many hours in the dark throughout the night. So over there the days are short and the nights are long, so it takes a lot of time to spend the night sleeping for such a long time. The poet continues to give a description of the people of the Northland. He says that there is snowfall, people like sledging there, and then the children over there, they wear that furry kind of dress, the caps and all, and they look like bear cubs. And the sledges are being run by reindeers. All right. So let's come to the third stanza. In the third stanza, the poet informs that how the leader tells their children strange and curious stories. Although the poet doesn't believe the story that she had heard as a child, she feels that she should narrate the story so that the others can listen to that and get a good message. Then she begins to tell the story that once there lived a saint called Peter, and he lived on earth. He traveled around the whole world preaching the words of God. And while preaching the words of God around the world, he reached at a door of a little woman, and that little woman was baking a cake on the hearth. The poet says that the condition of the Saint Peter, was very bad. When he came to the little woman's cottage, he was very hungry. His face was looking pale. His body was looking tired because the whole day he had been preaching, but he did not get a single bread to fill up his belly. So he stopped there and asked for a cake from the ones she had already baked and had kept it on the shelf. He could, as I said, he could get the aroma of the cake. So he directly asked for a cake. He did not ask for a piece of cake, but he directly asked for a cake which was kept on the shelf. the 7th and 8th stanza, she said him to wait. She said that she would bake the cake and give him. So she did not want to give her own piece of cake because it was larger in size. So she baked a small cake. She made a dough of a small cake for a small cake, and then she baked it. And before giving it away, she stopped to think whether it was big to give away for free. So she saw that she had baked a smaller size of cake, but the size of that cake and the previous cake which she has baked was almost same, maybe a little bigger than that. So a second thought came to her mind that will it be fair if she would give it to this man freely? So she thought of making smaller and smaller cakes, but each time when she was making, the cake was showing a very big size than the earlier one. So with this we come to an end to the 8th stanza. Thank you very much.